Watch this, his training routine today. Jesus Christ, man. Like, no wonder he's in insane shape.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so fucking good. He's so good. I mean, think about what that guy has done. That's crazy.
No, it's incredible.
Those are two of the best, like, of this era. I think he's one of the best of all time.
Joe Rogan reacted to David Benavidez's return to training as talk of a potential Canelo Alvarez showdown grows. With Benavidez looking sharp and focused, the long-awaited matchup is once again gaining attention. Benavidez's coach revealed how detailed the preparation has become, with specific drills designed to improve movement and stability from the ground up. The work is aimed at keeping Benavidez balanced and efficient whenever he changes direction in the ring.
What's up, man? Going you off earlier when you
because we want to make sure that every time he is in the ring and he moves and turns his ankles from the ground up, that's the ankle work. And then in the next day, the B version is when we do the toes.
Benavidez sharpened his combinations with speed and precision, placing each shot with purpose. The focus was on fluid execution, accuracy, and maintaining a high work rate throughout the session. Sparring gave Benavidez the chance to test his skills against live opposition as preparations intensified. The rounds allowed him to sharpen his reactions, defensive awareness, and ability to make adjustments under pressure.
Come on, finish strong. You can't take me out.
Muy bien, toda la lesión que está haciendo están perfecta.
Joe Rogan highlighted Benavidez's varied defense and relentless pressure as major strengths. He also sees his resilience as a psychological weapon that can gradually break an opponent's confidence.
So accurate, and he gets his punches around your guard and up the front and uppercuts and jabs. And I love his style.
He throws punches and bunches too. He's not throwing one punch. Benavidez has, and many guys like to have a suffocating style. You can hit him, and that does something to you mentally, I think, where you hit a guy twice, you hit him with your best stuff, and he just walks. He's walking through.
Jose Benavidez Sr. argued that the landscape has changed significantly since a Canelo fight was first discussed. He feels Benavidez has continued progressing while choosing not to put his career on hold. That willingness to pursue major challenges reflects the confidence surrounding his team. For Benavidez Sr., the matchup looks very different today than it once did.
Be realistic. Canelo's legs are not the same. You know, my respect to Canelo, he's done so much for boxing. It will be really hard to do what he has accomplished. At the end of the day, my respect. But David right now will send him to the hospital. To be honest, young, strong, motivated, hungry. We were waiting to fight Canelo for 5 years. That fight didn't happen. That's why we decided to move. We're not waiting for nobody. We're in our own lane, trying to look for our own glory and make history and be whoever. We're not afraid to lose our undefeated record. We're not afraid to show what we have. So that's the only way. No risk, no reward.
Adding to that, Timothy Bradley sees Benavidez as far more than just a pressure fighter. He highlighted the speed, variety, and combination punching that make his offense difficult to read. For Bradley, those tools give Benavidez several ways to create openings against elite opposition.
What David Benavidez like to do, he squares up. And as you saw, yes, he can make it work for himself. Yes. You know, dipping, getting outside, body shot here, dipping this way, body shot, you know, putting them motorboat combinations on his ass, putting them combinations on his opponent, you know. Hey, single right hand, straight left hook. Oh, David is sweet. Them fast ass hands, he is sweet.
Offering another perspective, Dmitry Bivol gave Benavidez real credit when assessing a potential fight with Canelo. He sees enough technical quality in Benavidez's game to make the matchup highly competitive. From Bivol's perspective, Benavidez has the tools to give Canelo serious problems.
Think about a fight between Canelo and Benavidez stylistically.
I sparred Benavidez, yes, and he's a good fighter. Yes, he has good skills, and he has enough to get this fight and win this fight.
On the other side, Canelo offered a very different perspective on the long-running rivalry with Benavidez. He questioned the narrative surrounding the matchup and made it clear that he sees the situation differently from his critics. For Canelo, there is more behind his position than simply whether the fight happens.
I don't know. I don't really know how to answer this question, but I think the way he talks, he thinks he's Superman, right? And he is very disrespect, not just with me, with everybody. And he's accomplished nothing. He's not even a champion. And he's not even in my weight class already. And, you know, it's a lot of things there that doesn't make sense. And plus, at this point in my career, I can do whatever.
Benavidez himself took a much stronger view of why the Canelo fight has yet to happen. He believes his physical and stylistic qualities present challenges that Canelo recognizes. For Benavidez, the matchup is ultimately about proving himself against one of boxing's biggest names.
So the way I've seen him handle my presence is he's definitely scared of me. You know, if you have a fighter talking so much trash in front of you, why don't you make an example of him to the world? Beat me in the ring and make a whole lot of money. But Canelo Alvarez, as you can see from every time he fights a guy that's big with power, like Bivol, you know what I mean? And he's not able to suppress these fighters as much as he's able to suppress the little fighters. You know what I mean? So he sees a lot of things in me that he can't stop. You know, not only does he see speed, does he see power, but he sees a lot of heart in me. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'm going in there and I want to prove myself to the world that I'm the greatest fighter. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't scare me to get in there with another great.
Max Kellerman shifted the discussion toward the size difference between Canelo and Benavidez, suggesting it could shape how Canelo views the matchup. He believes the physical dynamics make the potential fight more complicated than it appears on paper. That raises questions about how much size could influence the tactical battle. For Kellerman, it adds another layer to why the matchup remains so difficult to make.
Canelo and Benavidez was the matchup. Right. Now, by the way, I said Canelo's never ducked anyone in his career except Benavidez.
I agree.
Looking back at it now, Canelo maybe is looking at this dude like, they want me to box a heavyweight? I'm really a junior middleweight. They want me to box a heavyweight?
That's how great Canelo is.
Because listen, the fact that if you can make the weight, you can make the weight. But the phrase weight bully is popular nowadays because a lot of fighters have manipulated the fact that you can weigh in the morning the day before the fight nowadays and have like 36 hours, right? To really fight in the wrong division. Does that fight ever happen, Doug? Or is
Benavidez Canelo?
No.
From Terence Crawford's perspective, the physical difference could be an important factor in how Canelo views the matchup. He credited Canelo's technical ability for allowing him to overcome larger opponents throughout his career. Benavidez, however, could present a particularly difficult challenge in that regard.
No, I just think Canelo, in a sense, he know how big Benavidez is going to come in the ring. You know, Benavidez is a great fighter, you know, but he's a big fighter. He's a tall fighter, you know, and I just think Canelo knows, like, why would I want to get in the ring with this guy that's going to be massive come fight time? And I'm not that big of a guy at all. I've been doing all this with my skills because Canelo's not a big guy. He's been fighting big guys his whole career.
Yeah.
You know, and beating them with skill, you know, so you got to tip your hat off to Canelo and what he's accomplished.
Looking at the risk involved, Roy Jones Jr. considered Benavidez one of the most demanding challenges available to Canelo. He sees several stylistic factors that make the matchup dangerous for anyone at the elite level. From Jones's perspective, Canelo may simply be waiting until the circumstances make taking that challenge worthwhile.
It's a real risk there for him for taking the fight. I mean, you know, of course, he's like any other champion. He wants to make you guys salivate what y'all want to make us pay for it, which is smart. I don't think he's scared of Benavidez, but Benavidez is a tough order for anybody right now, especially if you're at the top of your game, because he's very busy, he's big, he's effective, he's aggressive, all the things you don't want in a fighter, David Benavidez is as an opponent. You feel me? So everything you don't want to see in your opponent, David Benavidez is. Now, does that mean you think he can't beat David Benavidez? No, but he wants to make sure that he makes you guys wait and ask and beg long enough that y'all gonna pay for it. Then he'll take it.
Not everyone is as understanding of Canelo's position, with Timothy Bradley taking a much harder stance on the situation. He argued that Benavidez has spent enough time establishing himself as a serious challenger to deserve the opportunity. Bradley sees the continued absence of this matchup as increasingly difficult to justify. For him, the solution is straightforward. The two need to settle the debate in the ring.
Canelo needs to grow some balls, B. Just grow some damn balls, Canelo. And I know the Canelo fans will come at me or whatever, but I don't give a damn, man. Yeah, why don't y'all tell Canelo to grow some balls and face Benavidez, man? Face the number one contender, has been the number one contender for over 4 years now, and I know I'm exaggerating that number, but fight freaking Benavidez.
Meanwhile, Roy Jones Jr. sees the rivalry as a fight Benavidez has genuinely wanted for years. While acknowledging there are reasons Canelo may view the situation differently, he believes comparing their performances against common opposition only adds another layer to the debate. Ultimately, Jones sees the matchup as the clearest way to determine who truly has the advantage.
Wanting that danger. He's been asking for that for a long time. It ain't him that's been saying no. But Canelo haven't really took it yet, but it's not David that said no. Canelo said he didn't want to fight another Mexican. David been chasing Canelo for years now. And it's a tough fight for him, tougher than people think. But, I mean, I think David definitely wants to fight. I just don't know. I think Canelo probably is waiting for the time or waiting for the right time. But I know David wants to fight. And it's a good fight, but you got to look at it like this, too. You can't take nothing away from Canelo because Canelo did stop Caleb. David didn't stop Caleb. So in Canelo's eyes, he's still a better fighter right now. You know what I mean? And David wants to prove that, no, I'm a better fighter. So that's why they want to fight. And, that's what makes...
If the matchup ever happens, Teddy Atlas believes the conditions surrounding the fight could become a major part of the story. He doesn't interpret Canelo's position as fear, instead pointing to where he is in his career. Atlas is more concerned about what Benavidez might have to compromise to secure the opportunity. For him, those circumstances could significantly shape the matchup.
Even more concerned, much more concerned, if he even thought about then going down to chase Canelo to make the fight, if that was even possible. Canelo, I don't think, is looking for that fight. Not because he's afraid. I don't think he needs it right now at this stage in his career. At where he is, the age he is, he's getting a little longer in the tooth. I don't think it makes sense from that standpoint. But let's just say that was possible with the Turkey Al-Sheikh money, everything else that makes everything possible now in this sport because of the money, that Canelo said, okay, I'll fight you at 168. That I wouldn't do. I know a lot of people say, Teddy, you just said he'll fight anybody. I know, he will. That's the problem. He probably would do it. I'd be concerned about him going down and having to lose all that weight just to make that.
Adding another layer to the debate, Andre Ward sees Benavidez as a particularly demanding stylistic challenge for Canelo. He points to the contrast between Benavidez's sustained activity and Canelo's more measured approach built around timing and precision. Size and range only add to the tactical questions surrounding the matchup. For Ward, those factors make picking a winner increasingly difficult.
Who would your favorite fight's Canelo?
I mean, it's a reason Canelo hasn't fought him. And nobody really likes fighting a guy that has a lot of output like that, especially when you're not a guy who has a lot of output. And Canelo's economical with his punches. He relies a lot on power, timing, skill. He'll let guys waste their energy and then he'll come on and he believes that the power and his accuracy is going to bail him out, and it has, for many, many fights. So nobody really wants to fight a dude like Benavidez, and you have to add in his height and his reach. And he's not a scary fighter. He's looking for the smoke. That's a lot you got to contend with. So if they fought, I know Canelo's going to come ready, and he's probably going to be, what he needs to be able to compete with Benavidez. But, man, I think you got to lean toward Benavidez.
At the same time, Andre Ward cautioned against assuming Benavidez would simply impose his usual pace against Canelo. He sees Canelo's ring IQ and control of distance as potential tools for disrupting Benavidez's offense. That tactical battle could force both fighters to make important adjustments.
I think that with the output, I would like to see how Canelo deals with that. Because Benavidez isn't just throwing the throw. He's got power on those punches. But, you know, a good boxer who understands distance and range and you know, who has the conditioning and the physical strength, as you saw early on with Plant, they can cut their work rate down. So Canelo's not just going to stand there. Canelo's got a great boxing mind. He's going to do his thing. He's going to be skillful, and Benavidez isn't going to be able to get those shots off. So I don't want to say you got to favor Benavidez. I want to say, man, that's a great matchup stylistically, and I hope you get a chance to see it.
Looking at the matchup from a tactical standpoint, Caleb Plant sees very little separating Canelo and Benavidez at the highest level. He believes preparation, game plan, and execution could ultimately determine which fighter gains control. Both men have clear paths to success depending on how the fight develops. For Plant, even small adjustments could completely shift the outcome.
I feel about the David and Canelo fight, like who had the best camp, who has the best game plan, who slept the best the night before. You know, there's a lot of variables that go into winning a fight. It's normally not just one reason you lost or one reason you won, you know, so.
And it's not much that separates guys at that level.
So it'll be hard to say. If David could get on him with his combinations and not give him room to breathe, and, you know, that's probably a night that David gets his hand raised. You know, if Canelo is able to slow the pace down a little bit and catch him with a big shot, David's been dropped before from an off-balance shot. He wasn't really hurt, but you know, would you be surprised if Canelo stopped him? You know,
offering another perspective, Oscar de la Hoya sees genuine danger on both sides if Canelo and Benavidez eventually meet. He views Canelo as capable of changing the direction of a fight in a single moment. At the same time, Benavidez brings qualities that could force Canelo into a demanding tactical battle. For de la Hoya, that contrast makes the matchup difficult to predict.
If Canelo lands that one bomb that he always throws, the right hand, I mean, it's sayonara, it's game over for Benavidez. But I think Benavidez, you know, because he's young, because he's strong, because he's very versatile and throws a lot of punches, it's going to create problems for Canelo.
Assessing how the styles could collide, Oscar de la Hoya leans toward Benavidez if the matchup with Canelo ever materializes. He sees Benavidez's approach as particularly difficult to contain over the course of a fight. His prediction comes from how he assesses their respective strengths rather than the rivalry surrounding them. Still, de la Hoya acknowledges that the actual fight could produce a very different outcome.
Knocks him out. Wow. Yeah, I think so. Why? I really do think so. I mean, Benavidez is a monster. He throws. Benavidez throws literally an average of above 50 to 55 punches around as a boxing expert. Yeah. I'm not talking to you as, oh, I hate Canelo, oh, I hate Benavidez. No, I'm talking about a boxing expert. Those are the facts. That's reality on paper. Now, what happens in the ring and the bell rings, I don't.
Meanwhile, Bob Arum sees Canelo and Benavidez as a compelling matchup between two high-level fighters with different strengths. He stopped short of giving either man a clear advantage, emphasizing how difficult the fight is to predict. For Arum, it would be a fascinating contest if the two ever shared the ring.
Benavidez is a really good fighter, and Canelo is a really good fighter.
You just said was, so you don't think he is anymore?
No, I said he is.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, they both are. But Benavidez is the fresher guy, and yeah, that's a terrific fight. Now, who would win? I don't know. But it's certainly a fight that's well worth watching.
Offering a different outlook, Bernie the boxer sees a path for Canelo despite the challenges Benavidez presents. He expects the matchup to test Canelo in ways few opponents can, but believes his experience and ability to make adjustments could become important. For Bernie, there are still areas Canelo could potentially capitalize on if the fight happens.
I will favor him to beat him.
Canelo.
I would favor him to beat him. It'll be tough because he threw a lot of punches and Canelo, I don't know. I mean, like I say, I seen him hanging there with Bivol. So I feel like he didn't do too bad against Bivol. And I think that, you know, man, I think he can exploit David a little bit. He can exploit him a little bit. But it'll be tough. That's why I make sure he man at 168, can't man no more than 178. But it'd be tough. But I think Canelo could find a way to win.
With Benavidez back in training, the speculation around a potential showdown with Canelo is only going to continue. The matchup has been debated for years, and if it ever comes together, the contrast in styles would leave plenty of questions to answer. Who would you favor if Canelo and Benavidez finally shared the ring? And what would be the deciding factor?